This morning I was watching a video and it came on social media by Goalpost. And the moral of the story for me was that the woman faced her fears in order for her to move forward and have some type of life. She had to face her fears. And when she started naming her fears, I thought about how many fears I have had to face. I think the most amazing thing about facing fears for me is that I knew I couldn't stay the same. I was tired of same old, same old. Same old, same old causes pain for me. Boredom causes pain for me. So the only people that can fix that for me is me. I remember as a young girl, from middle school to high school, I remember having an aunt named Doris who actually, she gave me everything social. So she took me to fine dining, she took me on trips and cruises and things. So she put that bug in me from such a young age that to want to travel. And I've been traveling ever since. But fears. I had so many. But when she was traveling with me, and I was able to see different places and the way people live differently, I always told my mother I was going to move to Virginia. That never happened. But I moved to Georgia instead. So in '92, after my aunt passed away, a week later, I told my oldest daughter's godmother that we were coming to visit Georgia, since I had never been. She'd been down there for years. Well, a week went by. We were coming to visit Georgia in 2 weeks. So a week went by, and I changed my mind. I realized I needed to leave Philadelphia. So the next week I called her and I said, hey, I'm not coming to visit next week. She was heartbroken. I said, but I'm going to move. So within a week or so, packed up a U-Haul truck, filled it with all my contents. Had no money. The brain of a youngster. Had no money. What I had was a car that my mother bought. It was a Mercury, like a Ford Escort, whatever that car was. And it needed work to it as well. And I had a 1-year-old, which is Anya, the pilot, today. Loaded that thing up, headed to Georgia the next week. The night before, Rochelle Fuller at the time, who was now Rochelle Satchel, gave me a going away party. And my family showed up. They surprised me. I don't know the name of that restaurant on the front, down at the front, Mishu Misiyaki Sushi something. Hibachi Grill. And my mother gave me $100 in an envelope. Talk about stepping out on faith, because I had nothing but enough to get the U-Haul truck and some gas. My big plan was, if I get to Georgia, I'll just get there. I'll temporarily get on public assistance till I get on my feet. I get all kinds of assistance for my daughter. That didn't happen. Some kind of error happened where they put too much income in for me. I hadn't worked in years. It was a couple years going by, and I hadn't worked, but they denied me. But anywho, my mother gave me $100 in that envelope, and that's what I used to get out of town. Now, Sherry Fennell, who is now Sherry Lewis, we got in that truck and we drove those 12 hours. It was the day before Halloween, and that song came out, I Got Work to Do, and we played that song over and over and over again. We were so focused. Now, Sherry ended up coming 3 months after me. She had a better plan, though, and she didn't have a 1-year-old. So that fear led me to Georgia. The fear of staying the same. That scared me so bad it scared me so bad that I thought picking up and moving, headed to Georgia, was a better idea. The fear of staying the same. Within years, I opened a daycare center. I wanted to quit and go back home after a year or so. But I opened a daycare center. Within a few years, Anya was about 3, going on 4. Then when she went to elementary, I started real estate. I'm just sitting here just realizing how the fear of staying the same pushed me to do something. I'm so afraid to stay the same that I'm willing to try some outlandish ideas. I just can't stay the same. I'll go into debt to try something new, just so I don't stay the same. You know what's interesting is this is not what I came on here to talk about. But this is so real for me right now. Forgive the pauses and the breaks in between. And I'm just even thinking about the fear of not understanding what my triggers are, what creates anxiety. Like, it's so painful when we're triggered and we're anxious about something that we could get frustrated, we could cry, we could do whatever, anger. When I see that happening to me, I'm afraid to not know what's causing that, like what's underneath the surface. This week here, I checked out so that I could figure out what's the driving force today with 2018's anxieties, because I've had many over the years. Because I'm afraid of always experiencing that pain and blocking whatever future that God has lined up for me, I'm afraid not to get the courage. I'm afraid to be a chump. I'm afraid to hang out and with the friends and get distracted so I don't have to think about my fears. I'm afraid to do all that. I don't know where I would be right now if I did that. Bottom line is, you guys, I'm afraid to be stagnant. That pushes me to do new things, to figure out new things, to study. I just want to encourage somebody today that when you go to smoke that cigarette, stop and think right before you go to smoke that cigarette. Why am I smoking this cigarette? Like, what anxiety is present right now is making me feel like, let me just smoke this cigarette so I can cool out? What if you don't smoke the cigarette? Let the pieces fall where they may. What if you don't smoke it? What are you going to face? What is it about yourself right then and there that you're afraid of, that you might not have control over? Before you go into the liquor store and buy that bottle, what is it that you're trying to mask? What you going to cover up before you draw that white line and ingest that in your nose? What is it that you're covering up? What are you afraid of? A lot of our addictions can be conquered if we're afraid of staying the same. That's really where the rubber meets the road. I don't even know what this message is about today. I'm sure I'll have another one for you soon. It's just me sharing my thoughts, hoping that you get courage today to conquer something. one of the things that pushed me too was when I heard someone say, the very thing that you don't conquer in this lifetime, you leave that as an inheritance for your children to conquer it in their lifetime. So you pass down from generation to generation whatever demons you don't face of your own. That was enough to make me fight. That was enough. That's enough. Is it enough for you? Y'all be good. Until next time, just know I love you and I care about you. And that's what this transparency is always about. Enjoy your day.